Yeah, sure. Sorry about the delay, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for joining us today on yet another interesting session. Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to our session on Study in Ireland. It's insights from University College Cork and also from ETS TOEFL. I'm sure many of the students here are now looking about finding destinations that are more exciting and also give them a lot of career opportunities or probably provide them more interesting programs, etc. So on that note, Ireland is the next popular destination, and we do see more number of students inquiring about this particular country. Before we begin the session, I'm your host for today. I'm Shanti Mohan, and I'm a former Education USA advisor, currently supporting Galvanize on their webinars and several other activities. Without further delay, I would like to now introduce our guest for today. And then we will come back and talk more about what Galvanize can really help you. So our speaker for today, Mr. Michael O'Sullivan, he's the International Recruiting Manager. He brings around 15 plus years of experiences in education and the global industries. He's been leading the UCC's international recruitment, building a strong global agent network and partnerships as well. His expertise in student recruitment and global engagement is definitely an asset, and he will be sharing most of his insights, experience, and also valuable inputs about UCC. And our second speaker for today, Mr. Niall Horan, and he's the Strategic Partnerships Manager for TOEFL Ireland. TOEFL, I'm sure most of the participants who have joined here, it's one of the important exams that all of you are going to take to whichever country you really plan to travel to. Like Michael and Niall also has an in-depth experience in higher education and international education sectors. Earlier to ETS, he has worked with University of Galway in Ireland, and he has contributed a lot to the university as well as many student-focused initiatives. So it's so important that student-focused initiatives are something that always connect a person with a larger community of students. And we are waiting to hear from him about his insights on TOEFL preparation and how do you really get those really perfect scores or the best scores possible but to get into a foreign institution. And now we invite Mr. Michael O'Sullivan to talk about UCC and give us the in-depth information about the institution.
Thank you so much, Shanti. It's an honor to speak to you today. Just give me one moment while I find the right screen to share. And you can just let me know once you can see the lovely campus on the picture.
We can see, yeah.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Niall. So again, Shanti, thank you, and thank you, Sahil, for your kind invite to speak to you today. My name is Michael O'Sullivan. I work in the global office at University College Cork.
I'm sorry, Michael. Sorry to interrupt. We are unable to hear you.
I can hear you, Michael.
I can hear you, Michael. Yeah.
Okay. I'll continue. Shanti, you might check your settings. So I work in the global office here at University College Cork. I am a UCC alumni, so it's my hometown. So I'm very proud of this institution. So it might come across as a little bit biased, but everything I say is true. So it's a brief overview that I'm going to give you. Takes about 25 minutes, which should leave us some time for some Q&A at the end. Niall is going to speak about ETS and TOEFL and how that can support your journey as part of your education plans. So UCC is quite an historic University. So founded in 1845. So last year we just celebrated a big birthday, 180 years. So definitely a big party last year to commemorate that. We have 4 academic colleges delivering a rich tradition in collaborative teaching, research, and scholarship. UCC is based in Cork City, and Cork City is a UNESCO learning city. So really teaching and learning is definitely in our DNA here. A little bit about rankings. Now we know that rankings is not the only decision-making factor that students and parents look at, but it can be a discussion point. We're very happy to see that UCC in Ireland is always consistently ranked across the top 3 in Ireland. And I'll talk briefly about the various measurements. So Times Higher Education has UCC in the 350 band of its global rankings. In the Shanghai rankings, we're top 3 in Ireland and also in the 300 band globally, but importantly cited as the top university for highly cited researchers. And then finally, looking at QS, UCC is placed at 246 amongst thousands of universities globally, so we're very proud of that position. And we're particularly proud about some of our subjects that appear in the top 100 worldwide. Those include nursing, agriculture, forestry, which includes food science, law, and the performing arts. So you'll see we deliver a lot of disciplines at UCC. They're some of our standout schools. Research is an important aspect at UCC. It really informs everything we do. It's really a cycle of knowledge where the research informs our taught programs and then in turn our taught programs lead into the research opportunities for many of our students. UCC offers the broadest range of research capabilities on a single campus. And the important thing about UCC in Ireland is that it's the home to a number of national research centres. So I've listed some at the end: Insight, Infant, MaREI, APC, and Tyndall. The key takeaway here is that these are national research centres. So they're made up of multiple universities, but they are housed and chaired and led and driven at UCC in Cork. So for example, Insight is the National Research Centre for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. So really you can think of UCC as the home of IT and international and artificial intelligence in Ireland. APC is the Microbiome Research Centre, the interface between food and medicine. Recently appeared on a very popular Netflix documentary that you should check out. It's called Hack Your Health, and it features UCC greatly in it, and a lot of the research that's happening at UCC factors in that. And Tyndall, which is a global renowned research centre, is the research center for nanotechnology and all things photonics. So again, world-leading research at UCC. Now, this is quite a busy slide, but what it does demonstrate is that UCC is a very outward, highly engaged university, engaging across all verticals of industry. And that's important from a number of reasons. Top being employability for our graduates when they graduate out of UCC. Then from a research perspective, we collaborate with a lot of these companies for research. And then from a project and placement. So students, as they're doing their degree programs, will be required to do a project or a placement. And then these companies act as partners for those placements and projects. So you can see the verticals there include financial services, IT, pharmaceutical and health, food. They'd be the key ones in Ireland and also in particular in the Cork region. And these are global brands, so you'll recognize them instantly. And then, but there's also a number of indigenous brands here that have a global footprint that you may not recognize instantly, but your students will benefit from that global footprint. So a little bit about Cork City. So if you imagine Dublin is the largest main city on the east coast, Cork City is the largest city on the south coast, in the southern half of the country. It's a very cosmopolitan city. As I said, a UNESCO learning city now for over 10 years, one of Europe's capitals of culture, a safe, friendly city based on a number of surveys completed, including one by Condé Nast recently. And we're surrounded by stunning countryside and coastline. So we really have the benefit of having a city location, beautiful countryside behind us, a wonderful coastline in front of us facing the Atlantic. So it's a wonderful location for students to be based, and very accessible through our international airport. So a little bit more about Cork City. I'll move on then to talk about the university that sits within the city. So it's a very young city, Cork. So 50% of the population is under 35 years of age. So it really spells that it's a university city. The size of the city, so it's 500,000 population. So that's quite small from an Indian perspective, but quite large from an Irish context. I mentioned Ireland's second city region, located on the south coast, direct access to the EU markets. We're ideally situated, Ireland generally is ideally situated globally, where students are engaging with universities in Asia in the morning. And by the time they finish their day, they've already started engaging with universities on the west coast of America. So it just shows in one single day in Ireland, you can span the globe with interaction with other universities and students. And we're just 2.5 hours from Dublin by train. So then within the Cork region, some of the clusters and these industry verticals that are very strong here, because that all leads into our conversations around employability and career prospects. IT, pharma, cybersecurity, energy, financial services, maritime, and agri-food would be the top. These industry clusters are supported by world-class research groups and centres of excellence. One example I'm going to give here is Dell Technologies. So Dell have their European headquarters based here in Cork City, but it's also their global centre of excellence. So when they roll out a new product or a procedure, it's developed here in Cork, road tested in Cork, and then rolled out globally. And then UCC acts as the academic partner for that centre of excellence. Also Ireland's second centre for financial services, but we do a number of sister projects with Dublin. And then the life science cluster spans pharmaceutical, biopharma, and the medical device sectors. In addition, over 50 global tech companies have both manufacturing and services here. So again, another real life example here is Apple. So Apple have their European headquarters, again, based here in Cork City, employing about 6,000 people. But it's not only are they manufacturing Apple products here, it's also the home of their European customer service team. Their finance team is based here. So not only are they recruiting tech graduates, they're also recruiting graduates from our business school, graduates from humanities, from human resources. So it's a multidiscipline benefit by having a partner like that based here. This is a bird's eye view of our campus. Immediately you can see it's a very green space. The important thing is that it's a city campus. So it's just 15 minutes walk from the gates of the university to the city centre of Cork. There's a river flows through it. It's very beautiful, very green, very established. It's a safe neighbourhood for students to be. The neighbours that live around the university kind of treat the university campus like a park. So they come in and they, with their kids, they have picnics, they walk their dogs, they get to know the students. So it's a wonderful experience for students to get to know Corkonians and their neighbours. This is a simple infograph of the university in a snapshot. So 26,000 students on campus, 70% are undergrad, the remaining 30% are postgrad or adult learners. Of the 26,000, 5,000 are classed as international students from over 140 countries. So very diverse, again, creating a cosmopolitan campus that matches the city. Supporting all of these students are nearly 3,500 academic, professional, and research staff. And we're very proud of our alumni worldwide, of which we now have 200,000 and counting. And then research investment is important. Essentially, this type of investment oils the system and it delivers fantastic facilities, not only for the research students, but also for the taught students get to enjoy, state-of-the-art facilities that this research and investment buys, which is why research that I mentioned earlier is so important to us. And we have over 200 programs on offer, undergrad, postgrad, and at research level. So functionally, the university is comprised of 4 colleges. We've got arts and humanities, business and law, medicine and health, and science and engineering. We have international students in all 4 colleges, and I'm going to talk briefly about the various schools that attract the most international students at our university. So in humanities, things like psychology, languages and politics, finance, management and marketing, and business information systems, business analytics really attract students within our business school. In health, pharmacy, nursing, public health, and under science, data science, computing science, engineering, food science, again, would be the top attractors for students from those 140 countries that I mentioned earlier. So I suppose a quick way of finding if we do a program or what disciplines we do. So on our website, at the top of the page, there's a button that says study, click on our courses. It's the fastest way of finding if a program exists at UCC. Put in the discipline word and it'll list all the programs linked to that discipline. We do have brochures available for everybody, but that's the quickest way of finding if we have a program. And then the program page is very user-friendly and it gives all the information you need in relation to whether it's full-time, the price point, the modules, whether there's a project or a placement as part of the program. And every program page has contact details where you can talk directly to the academics. So just very briefly, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is your day and this is your bread and butter. This is what you do every day in relation to assessing students' entry requirements. But the good news is that for India, we accept students coming out of the CBSE board system, as well as those coming through from IB. In general, a score of say 80 to 85% in CBSE would be sufficient to get you an offer at UCC. Some programs require 90 plus, other programs a little bit lower at 75. But in general, as I said, the fantastic students that we've met to date coming in for our undergrad programs have amazing scores in CBSE, so they can really do whatever they want to do.
Michael, just to add in over here, we have 90% of the people who are targeting for PG over here.
Okay, perfect. My next slide is at PG.
Yeah.
So then a postgraduate. So again, we are looking for students that meet our requirements of either a 2H1 or a 2H2. So all of our postgraduate programs is either a 2H1 or a 2H2. So something more complex and in high demand like corporate finance might be a 2H1 program. So we would look for a 65% from an Indian bachelor's degree there. Consequently, if someone did something like marketing, management and marketing, that would be a 2H2 program, so 55%. Now, again, I'm not going to spend too much time, but to acknowledge that we know that right across India, there's various grading scales, various universities with different scoring systems. We're very well versed in that. So we'll know immediately if the student is eligible or not. And of course, we'll be able to help you channel the student through to the right program. Just to point out here, when we're looking at the 1H equivalent, we don't have a program that's a 1H equivalent, but that is important when it comes to scholarships, and I'll talk about that later. So remember the 75%. If a student needs support in getting into an undergrad program, and again, I know the audience here is primarily postgraduate, but if you do have those queries, we are partnered with foundation partners to help students enter into undergrad. We have a dedicated language center, so anyone that needs English language support can get it at UCC, but Niall is going to talk about that more in depth. We do have an application portal that's used to submit applications. Again, I'm not going to go into any great detail there. The important thing is that because of the timing on the calendar, we're just about to close the cycle for this year. So we will close the middle of June next week for our postgraduate, and that's for September 26th. So that's for this cycle. And we will reopen again in October for September 27. We just have one intake each year in September. Turnaround time on offers is about 3 to 5 weeks. It can happen a lot quicker. This is an example of the things we look for. Essentially, less is more. So if we ask for 7 documents, just give us 7 documents. We don't need any more. So that will result in a quicker result and a quicker turnaround time. And there's slightly different requirements for PG and UG. This is an example of our fees. So generally our fees are between 17 and 25,000 euro, depending on the program. That's for 90% of the programs. And then living expenses in Cork, very competitively priced, but can be between 12 and 17,000 euro. Again, something within everybody's budget. The recommendation is that when you're putting a deposit on a program, you should also be putting a deposit on an accommodation option so that you're getting in early. Cork has come a long way in relation to accommodation options for university students. So there's plenty of options available for students. But again, get in early so that you can find something in your budget line. Talking of scholarships, so I did mention it briefly. Scholarships are available at undergrad and postgraduate level. These are international scholarships and they're merit-based. So postgraduate students who apply to UCC, and if their grade is the equivalent of a 1H, so anyone over 75%, usually at that level, so really first class with distinction from an Indian perspective, those students can enjoy a 20% fee reduction. So it's only available for really those quality high merit students. And then our undergrad students will automatically get a 2,000 euro fee reduction as an international student. All of these scholarships are automatic. There's no need to apply for them separately. A very busy slide here. I'm not going to talk about it, except this is a green light for research. So if you've someone that wants to talk about a research topic, we're happy to discuss it with them. The first thing is identifying a supervisor. Once you identify a supervisor and they give you the green light to apply, then the application can proceed. That's all I'm going to say about this, apart from that it's an amazing place to do research. So we know that when students are choosing to study internationally, part of that is because they're on a fantastic career path and to improve their career opportunities. So we have amazing support here at UCC to do that. 90% of our undergraduates consistently enter employment or continue into further education. The most recent count was 94%. At 9 months after graduation, we're either in employment or in further education. That's an amazing progression rate. All of our career services are aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So when they enter into employment, they're fully versed in these goals, which employers are extremely happy with. We run annual recruitment fairs where we invite all these companies onto campus to 2 big fairs, one in the autumn and one in the spring, and then multiple bespoke fairs across the year. A lot of our programs have placements both internationally and nationally. That's really at an undergrad level, but there are still placements and projects at a postgraduate level. And we run workshops throughout the year, helping students improve their CVs, improve their interview technique, improve their presentation skills. Doing an interview in Ireland for a multinational is very different from doing an interview in India with the same multinational. There's different techniques, there's different nuances. Interview panels are different across the world. So we help students be prepared for that. And of course, this is all supported by the national visa support from the Irish government, allowing international students to stay for 1 year after an undergrad and stay 2 years after a postgraduate degree. It's not all about study, so kids do get to have fun and we do recommend it. This is where they build their network. This is where they start finding opportunities for work as well as fun. So we have 53 sports clubs and 106 societies. It's always growing. So there's something there for everybody. Get involved. So when students get an offer letter, they will be a link on the offer letter, bringing them to the accommodation options. And that's where they'll find the accommodation option to suit their budget, suit their needs. There's UCC accommodation owned by the university, private accommodation surrounding the university, but not owned by the university, but all within 15 minutes walk, house shares, and staying with local residents. All of those options are available via the link on our offer letter. UCC is available on all the usual social media channels, so engage, learn more about the university. And that's my overview. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm happy to pass over to Niall or Shanti.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to hear. And as an alumni of UCC as well, I can concur that everything Michael said is correct. It is a wonderful university.
Good stuff,
to study
Niall. Thank you.
So I'll just be a moment and I will set up.
So as we wait for Niall to set up the presentation, please keep your questions coming in.
Okay, so can I confirm you can see my screen okay?
It's again with your notes, Nihal. So
Okay, I'll just stop sharing a moment. So yes, as I move from Teams to Zoom, this is always the case.
This is the joy every time we switch. It's like navigate. It's like a little computer game. It's like we've been gamified.
Yeah.
Just while we're waiting, I see that there's some questions that came in from Michael. If you
Yeah.
want to just, if you want to maybe go through them
Okay.
now and I set this up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shanti.
Yeah. So the first question, obviously, it's about the fee structure from Pushkar. I think you already discussed that in the slide, and I think Pushkar, we recommend that you can visit UCC website to take a look at it. And next question from Ayush, it's about does University of Cork provide CS AI program? I mean AI and computer science, and is that a private college? And what are the major advantages to choose this over Germany? So
Okay.
Michael, I think you have multiple questions there.
So a number of points there. So number one, UCC is a public university. So we are one of the prestigious public universities here in Ireland, not a private college. The second thing is, as I mentioned earlier, it's the home of computing science. So we have a number of master's programs in computing science. So there's computing science, data science and artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. They're the three key fields or streams within our School of Computing Science. Benefits over Germany. I mean, I think Germany is a wonderful place to study. Ireland offers the number one studying within an English-speaking environment with amazing access to English-speaking markets around the world. And an amazing world-renowned education system. And also, I think from an employability perspective, there are a number of key major multinationals who have made Ireland their European headquarters over other countries. So hopefully that answers the question.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Will I proceed now, Shanti? We'll
Please
take other
go
questions
ahead.
at the end.
Yeah.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, should I say. So I'm just going to take you through some things about ETS and the TOEFL round and how it can be used for when you're coming to UCC, when you're coming to other universities around the world. Okay. So in the first picture, I just like to introduce you to our new mascot. So it's TOEFL Tina. So she's our new global ambassador. So the more you investigate TOEFL and the more you look into TOEFL online, you're going to see more of this particular student. Okay. Just looking at a very broad overview and just some of the numbers of TOEFL and all the work we've done throughout the years. So TOEFL is part of the ETS group, and there have been over 50 million tests proceeded in the last 70 years by the ETS group. So it shows a long history of credibility, and we have a good structure in place for all administering of tests. There's been over 210 awarded patents for the TOEFL brand, for the ETS brand, and a lot of them are associated with the TOEFL brand. So it is quite unique in the world as a test. And there's now just over 12,000 publications in the ETS research library. So it is a well-researched and well-thought-out exam for global studies. In the world, there are 9,000 test locations. So I can guarantee that any major city, even the smaller cities in the world that you go to, there is the possibility of taking a TOEFL test in a test center. And I'll go through other possibilities also. And it's accepted in 160 countries worldwide. Of course, it's accepted by all universities in Ireland, but all of the major universities in all the countries, all the student-targeted countries in the world, accept TOEFL as an entrance test. And as I mentioned, there's over 75 years of global assessment leadership, and it does set the global standards for leadership for the test that it is. So if you look at the Nations Report Card, these are some of the awards that we have won throughout the year. So the Nations Report Card, so TOEFL was designated as the #1 report card in the US for many years. And also the PISA, so I have to look at what the PISA and PIAC identify as, so the Program for International Assessment of Adult Competency. So that was an award we won throughout a number of years. And as I mentioned, so TOEFL is part of the ETS brand. So although TOEFL is our flagship, we also are part of GRE, PSI, TOEIC, and Praxis exams. And these are all prestigious exams throughout the world that are used for various different types and courses. And looking at more detail into the TOEFL course itself, so 40 million students throughout TOEFL's history have taken the TOEFL exam. So you'd be one of 40 million students who've used this to travel all around the world, to go to university, to go and work in other places. So, you know, the prestige is there, of course. And as I mentioned, it is available in 160 countries and over 13,000 institutions. So 13,000 institutions is actually last year's data. We do know, and it is heading towards 15,000 institutions except TOEFL worldwide coming into this year. The exam itself, it's 2 hours and there's 4 skills done. And I'll go into more detail on that in a moment. And you can test your way as well. So that's something quite unique with TOEFL and something we're quite proud of, that there's 2 ways you can test. And I'll go through that in more details also in a moment. And just a very brief snapshot then of the features of the TOEFL test. So as I mentioned, you can test your way. There is an extended online registration, so you can register 2 days before the test, although it is recommended that you register, you know, a number of weeks before a test. But if something comes up, if you need to take a retest, if there's something that you need to do very quickly, you can possibly do it in 2 days. We reduced the retest waiting times, so you can do a retest within 3 days. And for listening and reading, something we're very proud of, there is the instant scores. And that will allow students then who take this test to know if they will actually need to proceed and take another test, or if they can feel safe and comfortable and just proceed as normal. So the instant testing is something new and is in our new updated test that we've come out since January. There is the possibility of a turnaround time within 3 days. Generally, it takes around 7 days, but there is a possibility of a turnaround time as well in 3 days. And the MyBest scores feature as well. So when you receive your scores, you receive your scores that were on the day of the test, but also you'll be able to see, and importantly, the university admissions portals will be able to see your previous scores as well. So if you do badly or if you don't do as well in one test, it is possible for admissions to see how you did in previous tests. But I'll show you that again in detail. And 2 very important things. So again, this is TOEFL Tina taking a test at a test center and taking the test at home. So I'm just going to show you very briefly the differences between them. just with the test center, so the test in official secure testing location, obviously it's very secure, and security is very important for TOEFL, whether it's the home edition or the test center. You would check in with friendly staff on site. There's no technical setup on your behalf, so all of that is done for you. And you can select the center then based on where you are or based on different times. So it's possible that if a test center, it's more beneficial for you to test in the afternoon, you can look for a test center that tests in the afternoon. Or if it's you prefer a test during the week as opposed to the weekend, it's possible to find that as well. And it is suited for people who prefer having in-test support throughout the test. Okay. And then there's the home edition option. And just to say, so obviously the home edition option, it is widely accepted, but we do encourage you to check the various university websites if it is accepted in that university. In Ireland, it is accepted by the majority of universities. It was last year in UCC for undergraduate, and it's being looked at again for the coming year. So it is important that you check yourself, you do your own research on whether it's accepted in the university you want to go to. So you can take it, and it's important that you can take it in the comfort of your own home. So if you live in a very rural area, if you live in an area where you can't travel, or if it's something you prefer to do, you can test at home. There are extremely rigorous security in place. There is extremely rigorous security in place. There's a live proctor that is watching you. There's AI. There's 2 camera setups. But we do feel as well that the familiar settings, and that, you know, you don't have to stress about getting to an exam center on time or traveling on bus or a train or whatever it might be. And you can test in your own time and your own flexibility. So, you know, one test might suit another person compared to the other, but it is important that you check that if you are applying to a certain university, that university accepts it, or if you're applying to University UCC, importantly, next year, that they'll accept it next year. I'm just going to play a very brief video, okay, just to give you an idea about the TOEFL at home test. There are subtitles on it, so hopefully you'll be able to read them anyway as well. Okay.
Quick run through before you test. Reading checks how well you understand academic texts. Listening is about lectures and campus conversations. Speaking lets you respond clearly and naturally. And writing shows you can organize ideas in an email and an academic discussion. You've got this one step closer to your next destination.
So that was just a very kind of brief overview of the tasks that are involved in it. Since we updated the TOEFL test in January 2026, we looked at what students want, we looked at what different institutions want, and we looked at what the workplace wants. So that really helped us to do research into the TOEFL test as a whole, and identified areas we can improve and identify areas that are important to the students. So if we look at the reading, for example, the different tasks are you complete the words, you read it in daily life, so a real life scenario, but also you also read an academic passage. In the listening, so listen and choose a response. You listen to a conversation with friends. You listen to an announcement, and obviously you listen to an academic talk as well, for example, a lecture. So, you know, it really does prepare students for when they go to the likes of UCC and they're in a lecture hall. Are they able to take notes? In the writing, you're building sentences, you're writing an email, which is very important in modern times, and you're writing an academic for an academic discussion. And the 2 parts for the speaking then are you listen and repeat. So you improve your pronunciation, and you take an interview then, so you take an actual test then. Okay. So as we looked at the different types of things that we have to do to achieve a TOEFL score, we're going to look at, you know, what you will receive after you complete the test. So as I mentioned, there's 2 things that you will receive. So your score on the day and your MyBest scores there on the bottom. So your MyBest scores are a combination of all of the best ones that you've done. So if you have, you know, if you needed to do the score more than once, it'll show your highest score for speaking, your highest score for reading, for listening, and for writing. And it's automatically included in all your score reports. When you do take the tests, you can nominate universities that you want to send the score to. So the universities have 2 options. They can receive the scores automatically from TOEFL, so you don't have to do any work. Or if you want, you can download and send it then as well. Obviously, the first one is preferred. So it's easier for the university, for the accepting university, and it's much easier for the student as well. And I'll just leave these here for a moment. Obviously, you know, we're promoting TOEFL, so it's important what I say, but I think the really important thing is what the students have to say about TOEFL. So these are real life students. They weren't paid for this advertisement, and they have an actual story to tell about it. So I'll just let me read those there for a moment. Okay, so all very positive things they have said about TOEFL, about taking the TOEFL, and in particular the new TOEFL, updated TOEFL test. And the test itself on the day, it is tailored for you. So one unique thing and part of one of our patents is the multi-stage adaptivity of the TOEFL test. So the test adapts to you as a student as it progresses. So if there's questions you're particularly strong in, if there's areas that really you excel in, TOEFL, the test itself will analyze that, and it'll gear those questions towards you. If there's something, and if your English isn't up to a very high standard, and instead of giving you extremely difficult questions, they will make the questions a little easier for you. And obviously that will, you know, have an impact on the score at the end. But I think it takes the stress out of an exam in that you're not doing extremely difficult questions throughout, even if you don't have the ability. There are fast results, so up to 3 days fast results, and they're aligned with the Common European Framework of Reference for language assessment. So that's why all the universities in Ireland do accept TOEFL. And important as well is that they're modern topics for a modern student. You know, it can be the case where you're doing an exam, there's items that maybe aren't discussed anymore, or you know, there's the old traditional way of learning and for teaching, whereas we feel that TOEFL is a very modern exam for the modern student, and then that progresses into the modern workplace then. Okay, so what we like about TOEFL, and what we like always tell our students that are taking the TOEFL test, is that it isn't just the test, and I know we all talk about the test, but it's a full branch of support. There's a full support system there. So once you register for a TOEFL test, there's different things that you can find on the platform then. So there's obviously TOEFL preparation, there's score sending, like I mentioned previously. There's customer support if you have any issues. There's study abroad insights. So the more we work with different universities and institutions globally, you will gain access to them, how many students for India study in Ireland, for example, and all these different insights that you can see, and it'll help you to make an informed decision about where you want to go. There's different campus events, and there's community and content as well. So we do encourage the students to take the TOEFL test to upload as much content and help each other out throughout the test. Okay. And some of the free tools then that you can access once you register. So there's free tutorials on the different exams. Importantly, there's free sample questions. So you have a good idea and you can check your level before you go into the test. There's guides and books. There's personal insights. So we have wonderful AI-powered support that can help guide you. If there's a certain type of question that you're weak in, the AI support will send you information on how to improve on that so that you're more than ready on test day. There's different tips and courses for students. And then there's nice short tutorial videos as well that are made by the TOEFL team just to help students throughout. So you can think of them as you're doing the test throughout the day. Okay. There's different test prep that you can do. So obviously there's things like free practice tests, and there's a lot of once you register, there's a lot of free things you can do. But then there's also, if you want to get more into it, there's full-length practice tests. There's quite extensive preparation courses, and all of the information on that can be found on the link that I'm going to send you in a moment. So if you're very confident, if your English and language level, I'm sure it is wonderful anyway. So you could do the free test prep and you can go into the exam with confidence. If you feel you need more work, there is the ability to kind of take on more things and to study a little more before the test. Just again, very brief overview before we finish. So obviously, you know, they're approaching 70 years of TOEFL. So it's your grandparents as they were going out into the world and going studying all around the world. They were taking the TOEFL test. So 40 million students have actually taken the TOEFL test. So you'd be in a broad range of alumni after taking the test. And it's a door to 160 plus countries worldwide. And that's ever expanding as we go through the years. So what we'd ask students to do, and I'll send this information as well, there's going to be a QR code at the end, is to start the process to set up a free account. So you don't have to book anything today. You can just see the price of the tests or the price of the test prep, or you can gain some insights as you go through it. So that URL there is kind of your first step into kind of taking a test as you go through the process of applying. And then it's very easy to register. You select the test location. So if you want to do it in a city, if you want to do it TOEFL at home, you pick a date and time, you complete the test, and then you prep and test then. So we simplified the registration process all the way through to 5 easy steps. And there is customer support all the way throughout. So if you have any issues, you can reach out. So ultimately, what we say is that it's important that TOEFL will get you noticed in the world, and 97% of educators would recommend TOEFL IBT as an exam. And I know I keep mentioning, so over 13,000 institutions as of last year accepted TOEFL IBT, and that's further again now. And what we feel about TOEFL, because it's an academic test and because of the years of research that went behind it, it does help you to get ahead. When you arrive on campus, we feel the students who have taken TOEFL are better prepared for campus life, lectures, interaction with people with different accents. And so it does give you the opportunity to kind of have one foot in the door as you come into a country, in a particular place like UCC in Ireland. Okay. So here I have 2 QR codes. So one is for registering. So if you want to register, if you want to look at some of the free test prep, if you want to just look at some of the practice questions, that registration there is what you can do. It is an extensive library of information, so you can see there's all country-specific things. So if you want to learn more about Ireland, if you want to learn more about UCC, there is information there on that. And then to follow us on social media. So we have a large number, so there's 7 million followers across all of our platforms on social media. So if you want to become one of them, if you want to see all of the different things that are happening in your city, in your country, all the different things TOEFL are doing around the world, we do encourage you to follow that there as well. Okay, thank you. So I will stop there.
Thank you so much, Neil, for that comprehensive presentation. So once upon a time, TOEFL always had a brand that it is associated with US, but now, it's so interesting to know wherever you want to go, you have a choice to take TOEFL and take one exam and probably target multiple countries. That's fantastic, and thanks for it. I think it's time to go through the questions that's been already posted. Nothing, I'll take a couple of them now. I hope both of you have time, right, Michael?
Yes, Shanti, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. I think the next question that I'm going to move on with is, there is a student, Anupam, who has asked about the PhD. I do remember that in the middle of the presentation, you were mentioning that PhD is a different track that you would exclusively talk to them. But I do see that there are some research interest among students. So if you can just give us a brief about how a PhD program can work.
Yeah. So I did, in response to Anupam's question about PhD, I did reply directly, but I replied to the group with the link for PhD. So essentially, if you're interested in doing a PhD, the first thing you need to do is identify a supervisor. And there is a specific link, and I will put it into the chat for everybody now. And that's the PhD link, right? So that will help you find a supervisor in a particular topic or a particular discipline or area. So for example, if it's engineering or environmental studies, whatever it is, whatever discipline, you search for the discipline, and then it will bring you up a list of supervisors, a list of academics at UCC. And you can email them or contact them with your suggested proposal of research, And then they will either say, yes, I have the ability to supervise you, or they may pass you to another academic who has capacity to supervise you. You'll also have a discussion around funding. Somebody needs to pay for the research. Sometimes the funding is self-funded. Sometimes students are self-funded. Other times it's funding through an organization or a body. Sometimes the funding is available within UCC. Sometimes the funding is available from your home government. Again, all of those discussions happen with the supervisor or the academic. So that's why it's a longer process. It needs to be front loaded with some intelligent questioning with an academic. But we're open to discussing all PhD programs.
Thank you, Michael. I'm sure Anupam would have got the answer from you. Moving on to the next question from Aman Jakar. So his question is about moving from a hardcore engineering program to MSc in computing science, and how would that shift help him, or what should he be prepared for explaining the shift?
Yeah, so the good thing about our computing science programs, particularly data science and artificial intelligence, it's that it accepts students in from other disciplines that are highly numerate. So a lot of engineering students do data science and artificial intelligence. You just need to have that 2-1 equivalent, so that's 65% in general, in order to qualify for the program. Computing science, a master's in computing science, you should have an undergrad in computing science, or an undergrad that has 50% computing science content. But data science and cybersecurity both encourage students from engineering backgrounds, physics backgrounds, mathematical backgrounds, anyone who's highly numerate, with 65% in their bachelor's.
That's really helpful. I mean, yeah, the students will aspire for better scores, definitely, with a strong intent to shift from engineering to a science computing.
Yeah.
The next question is from Danjuma. I think he's joining from Nigeria. So the question is, does UCC charge application fee? Is
Yes.
age one of the admission criteria for the PG program?
So we do charge an application fee. It's €50. And that is good value for money, because you get 2 programs assessed. So you can apply for 2 programs at once. And both programs are assessed not only by the admissions team, but also by the academic teams. So it goes through a stringent assessment, which is why we have a €50 fee on it. And I think, does Danjamin also ask about the medical facilities?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we have full student medical support here available on campus. Obviously, there's a medical school which has amazing facilities, teaching medicine and dentistry, but our all of the students enjoy an on-campus GP, which is a general practitioner, an on-campus doctor, and there's full healthcare facilities available for all students.
That's fantastic. I think we move on to the next question from Aparajita. So this question looks like Aparajita has well researched about UCC and the connections that you have. So her question is about, I'm interested in wave or tidal energy research, and I saw that UCC has partnerships with MaREI. While we are engaging in the thought masters, would I still get a chance for research? That's her question.
Yeah. So I suppose number one is that when you're doing, so yes, we have a good relationship with MaREI, which is the Marine Renewable Energy Institute, again, a national research centre here in Cork. If the student wants to study sustainable energy, that's a 1-year master's, and within that 1-year master's, 30 credits, so 1/3 of all the credits are linked to a project, and that project can be linked to MaREI, so marine renewable energy, or whatever the student wants, agrees with the academic team. So she asked specifically, can we work in the research labs? So jobs do become available within the research labs. We're always employing researchers across our research institutions. And we also have students working as tutors, so particularly master's students working as tutors for the undergrad students. So those opportunities are there. Now, not every student works in a lab, but the opportunities are there to investigate. So that's all positive.
Okay. So that brings a question from me, Michael. So obviously we are seeing a separate list of taught masters and research masters. Probably that's the concern that she's trying to address. Would I be given opportunities because I'm doing a taught master, whereas a student who's already registered for a research master would get a better research opportunity? I think that's the context of the question.
Well, obviously, like, the difference between a taught master's and a research master's is that the taught master's is a curriculum over the full year.
Yeah.
The taught master's is linked to the research master's can be linked to one particular topic. So there might be a small element of curricula, and then the majority of it is research. And if you like starting a research master's is like the step towards PhD. So some students do a 1-year master's and then continue into doing a PhD, or they do a 2-year master's, like UCC does 1 year, 2-year master's, and then also a 4-year PhD. So it really depends on where the student wants to go. So the student can exit after a taught master's and go out into the workforce or a research center, or they could exit after the research masters and do the same thing. So they're both positioned in a very strong place for employment, whether they take a taught master's or a research master's. But from my experience, many of the research masters go on to do further research.
Yeah, I think that really makes sense. I'm sure, and we move to the next question. This is from Anupam. I'm an applied geophysics student interested in exploration. Could you please explain how the energy sector is changing and what opportunities are available for research and exploration geophysics in the coming years in Ireland?
Yeah. So that's a very specific technical question that I would absolutely defer to my colleagues in geophysics. But I'm happy to channel the query, Shanti. So you can just give me the details and I'll send the query through. I'll connect that student or that applicant with the right school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
I'm not equipped enough to deal with geophysics.
Okay. So the next question is from Karthik B. What about the tuition fee for PhD? Is it fully funded or is it a scholarship based?
Yeah, well, I think I just covered that off in the PhD discussion. So again, it can be fully funded or self-funded, and that funding conversation happens with the supervisor.
Okay, I think it's more or less whatever you answered. I'm sure people would have heard, and I think we are almost done with most of the questions from the students. And I think this is for as an academic interest. I had few common questions I thought which would benefit all the students. Okay. The first question is beyond the minimum eligibility requirements, which you have already explained about in your presentation. What factors do you think often distinguish successful applicants from not successful applicants?
So I suppose what makes an applicant stand out, is it?
Yeah, that's the question. So beyond the academic profiles that you discussed.
Yeah. So fundamentally, our entry requirements are purely academic. Okay, so we're not interested in other aspects of maybe what you would have done in college or done in school. We're interested in, the percentage and the GPA. That's really the leveler for us, right, to assess everybody by. Now, because we're a UNESCO learning city, lifelong learning is important to us. Yeah. So where students are borderline on their academics, we do look at their work experience in particular. So if a student graduated 4 years ago and their GPA is slightly lower than required, then we will absolutely look at their work experience and if it's relevant. There would be a minimum of 3 years work experience that we would look at when we're considering an applicant who would be below the academic entry requirements. So there's a very kind of a flexible approach. It depends on the program. And I'll be straight up, some programs you either have the GPA or you don't, regardless of the amount of work experience you have. Unless you have the GPA, then you're not going to get an offer on the program. And that's for some selected programs. But in general, there's a very flexible, as I said, lifelong learning approach to someone's skill set. The second part of my discussion is what makes an applicant stand out. And I think that's when they get here and how they engage. So the applicant, the students and the graduates that I've seen most successfully are those that are good in class, they have good results, they do good in exams, but they step outside of the classroom and they get engaged in a society or a club, or they volunteer locally. They might volunteer or become part of a community group that's in their interest academically. So they might join an AI research group or an AI community if AI is their thing. They're the students and they're the graduates that perform best. And so whatever, if you really need to step out of yourself and challenge yourself when you get here. Many of the postgraduate students are only here for 1 year and it absolutely flies by. So I would encourage you to get involved, step out, get to know the academics, get to know students in other programs, because that's where your opportunities are. You build a network, Remember, there's just one semester runs from September to December, end of December. Then there's exams, and then there's another semester that runs January until April, and then there's exams again, and then you have a project for the summer. So it's a full-on year, very busy, and it flies by. So you might say, well, where do I find time to join a club? You will. And that's my recommendation for those that stand out.
Thank you so much, Michael. That's a very, very valid input. And oftentimes I do see students miss out on it, just concentrating on academics. And I think coming out of your comfort zone is the key to be the most successful and the best student. Yeah. Thanks so much. I think we are almost done with all the questions.
Shanti, there is just one question I did spot there, which was about shifting from one discipline to another. And so the question is, can I shift from engineering into business? Absolutely.
Yes.
So we have a number of conversion programs here at UCC, all at master's levels, where engineering students can move into the business school and business students can move into the computing science school or food science or whatever. So many of our programs are conversion programs. And when you search for the program on the website, it'll tell you clearly that it's a conversion program.
I think it is from Devansh. Yeah. Thank you so much. We addressed all the questions. I'm sure there are going to be more questions from the students, and we will probably collate them considering the time limit and everything. We will definitely share that with Michael. And if you have questions, you can also directly write to Galvanize, and we will share it with Michael and Niall, depending on the questions that you have for either ETS TOEFL or for UCC. And I think I have a few slides just to wind up the session. With everybody's permission, I would just finish it in a couple of minutes' time. I'm just sharing the screen. Okay. So we didn't have time to introduce much about Galvanize in the beginning, but however, I'm just taking a few minutes to introduce about ourselves and how we support students. So this is an organization that supports students on their international education journey. Apart from test prep, we also do counseling, and our students are from different parts of the world. We are not just catering to only students in India. And these are some of the best admits our students have received in the past. And of course, every year we are adding, like a feather in the cap, we keep adding some of the best universities in the world where our students head to. And definitely to know about how valuable our services were for the students, please visit the Quora and read our ratings and the testimonials given by our past students. And this is something that we are so happy to share here because one of our students who heads to UCC, who is Ketan Pabi, and he's from some of the students who have joined us from Chennai would definitely know this institution, SRM. And as Michael was mentioning about the strong academic thing, so Ketan has a very strong GPA, plus he also has a focused experience related to the field of study that he was applying for, which is MS in data science. And of course, he has taken IELTS, so his bandwidth is 7. And just to tell you how this case study was strong, these are the important aspects of Ketan's application which helped him to back this offer. And apart from this, he has also applied to a few other institutions where he got the admissions from. So we are offering an end-to-end personalized solutions to students. So we really work with them in depth and help them understand how the process is happening and how we offer our support to them, etc. So the support starts not only in test preparation, we also help students with their profile building and so obviously admissions. The organization is founded and managed by alumni of Stanford, IIT Madras, and IIM-Ahmedabad. So our motto is to give a quality service to students. So this self-explains the features and the benefits of the services, especially with related to test prep that we offer. So we request the students to join us or give your feedback through the link that we shared in the chat box. And you can also have one-on-one, initial counseling with a counselor to understand about where do you stand and how would you plan your application process. So we provide support across all the 6 steps, right from onboarding where, we do an evaluation call. So you can sign up for the first pre-evaluation call and understand where do you stand. And we will help you strengthen your profile, work on your university shortlisting, and also help you with documenting your statement of purpose or build a strong resume, help you understand how do you really approach your recommenders to get a solid letters of recommendation that would help you in applications. So once you get your admissions, we will also prep you on your visa process, guide you through the financing options on loan or introduce to some of the institutions that offer financial loan or whatever you call it. Any kind of financial options that would help a student to pursue their international higher education, and also support you in the pre-departure, depending on the country that you're going to. There can be exclusive sessions on preparing yourself to land in the country. So what are you waiting for now? You can scan this QR code and fix up a personalized session with one of our advisors, or you can even call us on this phone number or email us, and we would be happy to help you, and we would like to be part of your journey. Okay. Good luck to everyone who joined us in this session. Please do connect with us. And here are our coordinates, email and phone number is given. You can take a screenshot and connect, or you can always Google and we will be around. And I think with that, we are happy to end today's session and thank everyone for their valuable time joining us and asking us the right questions. Thank you, Michael, Neil, and is Sarika around? Yeah. And thanks for joining us today. And we appreciate everyone's time. And we are always happy to host such wonderful webinars for the benefit of students. And see you in our next session. Good night, everyone. And good afternoon to Neil and Michael.
Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.